Magandang bati sa inyo lahat at ngayon ay tatalakayan natin kung ano nga ba ang bottom billion. Ang bottom billion ay isang termino mula kay Paul Collier, isang ekonomista na tumutukoy sa humigit kumulang 1 bilyong tao na naninirahan sa mga pinakamahirap na bansa sa mundo. Karamihan sa mga bansang ito ay matatagpuan sa Sub-Saharan Africa pero kasama rin ang ilang bahagi ng Asya, Gitnang Silangan at Caribbean. Ang mga tao sa grupong ito ay nakakaranas ng matinding kahirapan na may mabababang kita, mataas na antas ng kagutuman at limitadong akses sa edukasyon at serbisyo sa kalusugan. Mga halimbawa ng bottom billion na bansa. Una ay ang Chad, isa sa mga bansang may mababang antas ng kita at mataas na antas na kagutuman. At ang Niger, kahirapan ang pangunahing isyu lalo na sa sektor ng agrikultura. At ang Afghanistan, apetado ng digmaan at kawalan ng matatag na pamahalaan. Ang Ethiopia nahaharap sa kakulangan ng pagkain at pangunahing serbisyo. At ngayon naman ay mga salik na nagpapalala ng kalagayan ng bottom billion. Una ay ang politician instability. Nandito ay ang corruption, digmaan at mahina o dictatorial na pamahalaan. At ikalawa ay ang kakulangan sa kalakalan, limitadong oportunidad sa pandaigdigang merkado, at ang ipangatlo naman ay ang natural resource trap. Ang yaman sa likas na yaman ay nagiging sanhi ng conflict sa halip na kaunlaran. At ang panghuli naman ay kakulangan ng edukasyon at kalusugan. May bababa ang literacy rate at mataas ang morality rate. At ang halimbawa naman sa mga solusyon para sa fair trade ay ang pagpapaunlad ng ekonomiya o ang pagtutok sa infrastruktura at lokal na negosyo, at ang pagbabawas ng korupsyon at pagsuporta sa edukasyon at sa international aid na tumutulong mula sa mayayamang bansa na nakatuon sa tamang mga programa. At ito ay ang artikel patungkol sa bottom billion. Summary: these books argue the real challenge of development is the small group of countries that are falling behind and often falling apart. These countries and the billion people who live in them are caught in one or another of four traps: the conflict traps, the natural resource trap, the trap of being landlocked with bad neighbors, and the trap of bad governance in a small country. These traps are not inescapable, but standard solutions will not work. Aid has been ineffective and globalization has made things worse. A new mix of policy instruments is required, supported by a bold new plan of action for the G8. While 5 billion people live in a country that are developing, 1 billion people live in a small group of countries concentrated in Africa and Central Asia but with scattering elsewhere that are stuck at the bottom. The central problem of these bottom billion countries is that they have not grown. Their growth rates has been negative in absolute terms, and in a relative terms massively below the rest of the developing world. These countries are caught in one or another of the following traps which have kept them stagnant. The conflict trap. 73% of people in this country have recently been through civil war or still in one. Some of them are stuck in the patterns of violent political conflict in the form of internal challenges to government. Wars and coups keep low-income countries from growing and dependent on primary commodity exports. Because they stay poor, stagnant, and dependent on primary commodities, they are in turn more prone to wars and coups. The natural resource trap. 29% of bottom billion are countries in which resource wealth dominates the economy. A low-income, resource-rich society is likely to become an autocracy or lopsided democracy with no checks and balances, and is in turn unlikely to grow. This closes off the possibility of building a more balanced democracy through a process of economic development. Landlocked with bad neighbors. 38% of bottom billion are in landlocked countries. Resource-scarce, landlocked countries whose neighbors either do not have growth opportunities or do not take them are condemned to the slow lane because they do not benefit from any spillover effects of growth. Bad governance in a small country. Good governance and policy helps a country to realize its opportunities, but they cannot generate opportunities to growth where none exists. Bad governance is not a trap. Preconditions for turnaround include a large population, a high proportion of people with secondary education, and having recently emerged from war. Trade is more likely to lock these countries into natural resource dependence than to open new opportunities, and the international mobility of capital and skilled workers is more likely to bleed them of their capital and talents than provide an engine of growth. The problem of the bottom billion are serious but fixable. Change will have to come from within, but external actors can use a range of policy instruments to encourage steps toward change. Aid. Aid is a part of solution, not part of a problem. It should be increasingly concentrate in the most difficult environments. Aid agencies will need to accept more risk and a higher rate of failure. Agencies should finance big push strategies for export diversification and introduce governance conditionally. To make development policy coherent will require a whole of government approach. Addressing the problem of the bottom billion is an ideal topic for the G8. Military invention. Appropriate military invention such as the British in Sierra Leone has an important place in helping the bottom billion, particularly in protecting democratic governments from coups, laws, and characters. We should adopt international character for natural resource, democracy, budget, transparency, post-conflict situation, and investment. Trade policy. The bottom billion needs to diversify their exports, and they need temporary protection from Asia. And that's all. Thank you.